Hi everyone, and thanks for clicking on this video. Hope you're doing alright. So in today's video I want to talk about how men can test you. When you're dating, it's really important to kind of put boundaries in place, because if you don't put boundaries in place, basically men will test you. And I think I just want to go through the top 3 boundaries I think you kind of need to have in place, otherwise men will kind of test you and they'll push back on these. So if you're dating, I think the first thing if you're a female, you'll probably have come against this or come across this, is that men will ask you for photos. I think what it's important to understand is that all guys will ask you for photos. And what I mean by this, it isn't just the sleazy guy that will ask you for photos. It's also the good guy and the nice guy that will ask you for photos. I think what you need to understand is that the way men are wired is that men want sex and men need sex. So just because he's asking you for photos doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad person. It's just a biological drive that men have. Even if you pick the nicest, sweetest guy in the world, they're still going to want to ask for photos and to see you. Especially how obviously now the world is so sexualized and people only have to go on Instagram and they'll see the pictures with the girl with their bum hanging out of their bikini. It is just the way of the world. And I think I just wanted to stress first of all is that just because a guy's asking for photos doesn't mean he's a bad person or someone you should avoid. Although yes, it is irritating and you would rather that it didn't happen. So obviously these points are kind of generalised, but what I've kind of found is that the guys asking for photos tend to fall into 2 camps, and as a female you won't really know which camp the guy is in, which is really frustrating. So the 2 main camps is that the first camp is that the guy that is literally just a time waster that just wants pics. Just wants that cheap thrill. You also see a lot of guys will play power games, and I call them the picture collectors. They want to collect as many pictures as possible from women, and it's almost like a game to them, and they get a thrill from getting the photo off a girl. In the same way, maybe 10 years ago it was all about pickup artists and the game, and it was all about how many girls' numbers I can get. Now obviously as technology has shifted on, it seems to have moved on to what pictures can I get of women, what can I get of women that way. So you're gonna get guys that are in this camp that just want to get pictures from a girl just to use them for obvious purposes, and they will have no interest in you whatsoever. And then on the flip side, you'll get the guy that really likes you, that's really into you, and that's just pushing his luck basically and just wants to see you naked. You can't really blame a guy for wanting to see photos of you. Obviously if he really likes you, he's going to want to see you naked. It's a natural desire that men have. Remember that visuals are really important for guys, and they like to be able to see what a girl looks like. Looks are really important to guys when they're picking out a mate, more so than females. So this is why a guy will ask you for photos. So what should you do when a guy asks you for photos? You know what I'm going to tell you before I even open my mouth, but basically don't send him these photos. The thing is, if you send a guy photos, no matter how secure you are in that relationship, you don't know how things are going to go in maybe a year's time, etc. After you've broken up. People can change, people can flip. You can be dating a guy that's a nice, kind guy, and then because you've decided to split up with him, they can go rogue. What you need to worry about more as a young female is the fact that a guy is more likely to send these photos to his friends. You just need to be really careful if you are sending photos, that these photos could potentially end up in the wrong hands. So I think it's best not to send photos. And if you are going to send photos, ladies, if you are going to kind of go against what I'm telling you, please don't put your face in the photo at all when you're sending photos. The second way that guys will test boundaries is that they'll try and get round to your house as soon as possible. Guys will try and push the boundaries. They'll use the boundaries and say, oh, I want to come around your house, but I don't want to have sex with you. I just want to chill out and hang out on the sofa like Netflix and chill. This is a guy's way of testing you, because he knows if he gets you on home ground, if he gets you actually alone in your flat, there's a higher chance of you changing your mind and deciding to have sex with someone. So men will often try and push this boundary early in the relationship, is to get you to go home or to invite you to come round as quickly as possible, is because men will use this as a tool to escalate to sex much faster. The best thing, ladies, is to not put yourself in temptation's way. Keep dates external, keep them outside the house until you are comfortable and ready to have sex, basically. If you put yourselves in the situation, then things are more likely to happen. Basically, if I use the analogy, it's like going to a chocolate shop and not eating chocolate. If you're putting that self in that situation and you're alone, those things are more likely to happen. So just be wary about that when you're dating someone, is to not go round to their house too soon, because your boundaries are more likely to slide. The third way that guys will test you is with your time. If you're like me, you like prior notice of a date, you like to know the time, where you're going. If you're going to a restaurant, this is a really girly thing, and yeah, it's quite, but I like to see the menu so I kind of know what I'm ordering beforehand. I like to be organised. Yeah, I'm a bit type A like that. But in terms of your time, you'll get guys that push your boundaries, that will maybe say, do you want to hang out tonight? And they'll text you at maybe like 4 and say, do you want to meet at 7? And they'll push your boundaries that way. And ultimately, a guy will not respect you if you submit to the last minute date. What's probably happened is that his original plan has fallen through, and your option B, that's why he's giving you 3 hours notice to go on a date. If a guy respects you, he will not ask to meet you a few hours later. He will respect you, and you know, if you're a high value woman and you've got a lot going on, he will know not to push your boundaries this way. In the same way that a guy will push your boundary at night when they'll text you late and they'll try and get you to come round. It's all about power, and it's all about manipulation, and it's about a guy trying to manipulate you, put you under his wing and do things that he wants you to do. And you need to stand up for yourself and be like, no, if you want to go out on a date with me, it needs to be a couple of days in advance. You need to tell me the time, and you need to tell me the place, and it needs to all be sorted. You don't want to let a guy kind of think that he can just call you up and have you like that. This is really difficult, because obviously if you really like someone, all you want to do is see them and you want to spend time with them. But if you don't put the boundaries in at the start of a relationship, it's just going to be like a steep slope all the way through your relationship. You can say it in like a polite, warm way and say, look, I'm really sorry, like I'm a busy person, I've got things to do, I just need notice, I can't just do spur of the moment things. And then hopefully he should get the hint that way, rather than just going off at him and saying, I need notice, etc. He's just going to pull away from you if he senses you're like being like a bitchy kind of negative energy. He's going to pull away from that. So as long as you tell him in like a warm way, he should get the message, basically. So those are the 3 ways that guys test you. Obviously they test you in more ways than that, but I think they're just the main 3 that you should be wary of just when you're dating. So I hope you liked the video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like my content and like the video, and hopefully see you soon.